Well, individual stocks on the index doing fairly well. We spoke about L&T. Now it's extended its gain to about 3%. M&M2 doing fairly well, about 1.5% out there, has gained about 3% this week. So currently at the high point of the day. And another stock which is interestingly outperforming the sector right now is TCS. That one should come up for you. TCS is at the high point of the day, while all the other IT stocks are subdued in today's trading session. So TCS sitting with a gain of about 1%, while the IT index is lower, mostly in the red as we speak. Let's just focus back to the jobs data that came by last evening. Data pouring in from the CMIE suggests that unemployment, in fact, is rising to alarming levels. While the Modi government claims to have created more jobs since it came to power, a survey conducted by CMIE suggests a different picture. Prashant joins in with more details. Prashant?
Mangalam, this is data which they collect every month. I mean, so the survey conducted amongst tens of thousands of households is done every month. And the number that we have is for the month of February of 2019. So let's just take it one by one. Let's look at the labour participation rate. A labour participation rate is nothing but essentially the proportion of the workforce which is actively looking for jobs. The labour participation rate has been falling quite sharply over the last 2 years or so. So for the month of Feb 2019, that number is 42.7%. That has come down from almost 44% in February of 2018. So, I mean, it's almost a 2 percentage point fall, which we've seen over the last 1 year or so. So that's point number one. What does labour participation rate falling like this mean? It means that, more and more people are essentially not looking for work anymore, for whatever reason. Maybe they can't find jobs suited to what they hold sort of degrees in. I mean, they can't find well-paying jobs. Let's put it like that. And I think we've got enough anecdotal evidence to kind of support that. But there could be other reasons as well. But in any case, people dropping out of the workforce is not exactly great news. That's point number one. The next one is unemployment rate, and this is the most sort of commonly cited, most used data point. Last month in Feb 2019, that number stood at 7.2%. It's risen from 5% in Feb 2017 to 5.9% in Feb 2018, and now it's 7% plus. So, I mean, unemployment rate doesn't need any explanations. Employment rate, the net employment rate now stands at 39.7%. This is essentially the proportion of the working age population which is actually employed. So that's now 39.7%. That number has also been falling. In November of 2017, that number was almost 42%, and it is under 40% as things stand right now. We've got the absolutes as well in terms of the total size of the total workforce. It's about 40 crores. It used to be about 40.7 odd crores in early 2017. So, I mean, look at all three of these indicators: labor force participation, which is falling, unemployment rate, which is rising, and the employment rate which is falling. I mean, any government of the day would want all these three indicators to go in the opposite direction from where they are going right now. It's pretty grim picture as things stand right now. CMI also puts out some numbers in terms of projection. In terms of how many jobs need to be created, and that number is about 8 lakhs every month is what they feel that on a net basis we need to find new jobs of about 8 odd lakhs. So the challenge is pretty large, and I think it would be daunting. I mean, the answers to these questions would be pretty daunting for any government facing general elections in a few months. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Prashant, for putting that in perspective. In fact, let's take this discussion forward. TeamLease, which is a general staffing company, is on our radar. We've got the CFO of the company, Mr. Ravi Vishwanath. Ravi, thanks so much for joining in. You heard what my colleague had to say. The unemployment rate is now at 7.2%. This is the highest that we've seen in the last 2.5 years. The labour participation rate, or the number of people actively looking for jobs, has been coming down. So that's also a worrying picture. You staff people in the organised market, largely catering to the generalised staffing, as you call it. What is the picture? Is it actually as somber as the CMI data suggests?
The data at our end is actually contrary to what data CMI is putting out, in the sense, we've grown reasonably well in the current year on our associate count. We would probably be doing a 20% growth in our volume in the number of associates we have. We probably end the year with about 155,000 people. Which is actually the highest that we have seen over the last few years. clearly, along with us, a lot of other staffing companies too have been growing. So as far as we are concerned, we are not seeing any kind of let up in hiring with most of our clients. The demand is only increasing for us. Next year again appears to be a good year if we were to look at what the current pipeline that we have, the sales pipeline that if you were to look at it, looks reasonably strong for the next year as well. So this data, so the data at our end is a little contrary to what's being put out. If you also were to look at it, the attrition in the general staffing business at our end is as much as between about 4 to 4.5% a month, which means that during the current year we've actually added close to about 100,000 people. We would have added in terms of gross addition, because and where are all these people going? These people, half these people are actually going for, to probably better paying jobs actually. It's not that they're falling off the radar, because they're going to better paying jobs, or they're probably going closer to home, or they're probably taking up a permanent job, or actually some such thing like that. So at our end, I think the staffing companies, if you were to talk to most staffing companies, they'll probably tell you that demand is at an all-time high as far as we are concerned right now.
And what explains the dichotomy then, Ravi, between what you are seeing and your peers are seeing versus what the CMI data suggests?
Probably the disconnect could be due to the fact that we are talking about the formal staff, the formal employment, which is where, which is the area that we come under. The number of people in the formal employment scenario is actually very, very small in our country. While and that number is increasing on account of various initiatives of the government. Like the demonetization, GST, etc., is actually pushing the economy from an informal one into a more formal one. And that probably is the reason why numbers at our end seems to be increasing. I'm not aware of how the other side is playing out at this stage, but at our end for sure, definitely these numbers are actually looking up actually.
So suffice to say that the economy is moving from unorganized to organized, which is why perhaps you and your ilk are seeing growth and the others are perhaps seeing some bit of a decline?
That could be possible. That could be possible for sure. Yeah.
All right, Mr. Vishwanath, if you could explain to us, why is it that the active number of job seekers are coming down? Is there something that you witness in your business as well? Because the numbers come down from what, 44% to about 42.5%. So a near 2 percentage point decline in just the last 2 years with regards to the number of people who are seeking jobs. Is this on account of the job as well as education not being a match? Or is it on account of the largesse that the government is giving and people are satisfied with the money that they're getting?
Probably a combination of the latter. Couple, it's probably the latter which is the largest in the doles and the incentives that the government is giving out. And like I said, at our end, we haven't seen, job seekers continue to come back to us. We don't have a problem on that side at all. So that percentage, the small percentage drop that you did mention, hasn't seemed to have impacted our hiring or our, in fact, any of our business at all here actually.
So you're not finding it difficult to staff the right people to the job required?
Staffing the right people to a job has always been a challenge for us. It's not just for us, for the whole of India, because we've had this disconnect between what kids study and what the industry needs are, which is where we did come up with. We have been fighting with the government to amend the Apprenticeship Act, and finally the government did amend the Apprenticeship Act. They came up with an alternative legislation called the National Employability Enhancement Mission. And even on that front, over the last 3 or 4 years, the number of trainees that we have placed with enterprises has gone from 0 to about 60,000 people today, actually.
Just one final question. What is the state on the ground when it comes to realization or the kind of salaries and productivity? Is that under pressure, or is that also picking up along with demand?
It has been. So if you take the average salaries of our associates, it used to be 15,000 rupees a few years ago, and that's kind of just crawled up to about 22,000 rupees today. So there is a realization today with corporates or with enterprises that employees will not stay if you're not paying them your kind of market wages. So sooner or later, people will leave, which probably also explains the high attrition that we have, because somebody who's getting a 22,000 rupees salary, if he gets 1,000 rupees a month, he'll probably leave us and go there, actually. So
let you go, Mr. Vishwanath, if you could tell us your markup per employee has been lower by about 1.5% for the first 9 months of this year.
Correct.
Where do you see that trend going? And 24% revenue in the first 9 months, do you think this will sustain into the fourth quarter and the next year as well?
See, I'm not going to talk about the fourth quarter. I mean, for sure, the growth has been good. I'm not going to be commenting on numbers.
Right.
But we do believe that we've always said that we will grow between 20 and 25% over the foreseeable future. And I think that guidance of ours will actually hold good.
And the markup?
So, the markup, these are temporary aberrations that we've seen in the markup. So markets should start seeing an upward trend soon.
All right.
Thank you, Ravi, for joining in. So that is TeamLease. Well, the situation is not so grim. In fact, it's quite buoyant at TeamLease's end, and they maintain their 20 to 25% revenue growth, and the volume count or the number of associates that they staff should also go up by close to 20% in this financial year. So I guess the organized sector is still thriving. Get into a break. On the other side, Gujarat Gas is buzzing in trade details when we return.
I think at an all India level, if you take the general government expenditure on health, I think more than 80% of the budget expenditure is incurred by the states. How health should be delivered in Kerala and how health should be delivered in Nagaland, I think if you say that Delhi knows better about both, it's a little difficult to stomach. My limited point is, if I see all the flagship programs, almost all the flagship programs were in some state or other before. When the state government does it, it is populist. When the national government, when the union government does it, it is for people's interest,